Welcome, everyone. It is Sunday, August the 30th. Excuse me while I turn down the volume here. I'm watching the Nuggets and the Jazz. My Nuggets holding on for dear life here so far. August the 30th, 2020. Dad's Watching Sports, episode 30. 30. That's right, Kyle. Episode 30. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're streaming us live on the Dad's Watching Sports Facebook page, the RTF Network Sports page, RTF Sports Network, something like that page, or if you're
get it out,
just whatever. There actually did some show prep this time, so hopefully we'll be a little bit better than last week. Or if you're just checking us out, download us anywhere you can. We appreciate that. As always, Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk. This is Dad's Watching Sports. We talk about sports. We talk about our lives as dads and all the fun things in between. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be joined later on the program by Jay Cash. Jay owns an auctioneer company. I actually work with Jay kind of closely on some events and stuff. Really fun guy, cool guy. He's a dad as well, and he's big into horse racing. So, Kyle, we're going to talk a little Kentucky Derby. Are you ready to run for the roses?
Man, I feel like I need one of those big hats that the women wear with the flower or something on it. Just get a little festive.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe next week we'll come in with our hats on from the running of the roses.
What about some mint juleps for the drinks? Can we get a sponsor to get us some mint juleps?
Matt, you are already off the handle without some alcohol. We need to just leave that alone.
Well, since I'm actually drinking a mint julep in commemoration of the Run for the Roses, I think we could probably do that. But you guys are going to step up your game.
Wait, are you seriously drinking a mint julep?
I am in preparation, man. I'm rocking the blue because that's the Matt. I couldn't hear you there. What'd you say?
Just happen to have all those ingredients at your house?
Any good Kentucky fan or someone that affiliates with the great state and the Commonwealth of Kentucky has those readily available, Matt. So
I was pretty sure any self-respecting man didn't drink a drink called a mint julep.
When it's the week of the Derby, you throw everything out. It's all about the Derby. So
you say so.
Well, guys, both of you were MIA for the dad debate this past Wednesday, and I don't know if anybody happened to catch it, but Jamichael Tyler, who was our guest, had some technical issues, and he also had his children with him, so we just couldn't keep him on too long. But I went solo for a majority of the show, which if anybody happened to check it out, they probably were hoping they forgot it. Kyle, solo effort, man, for 30 straight minutes. I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but we pulled through.
Hey, I mean, you're a trooper. You do what you got to do. It probably sucked, but I'm not gonna go back and listen because I don't want to hear it.
I appreciate the confidence that you have in your fellow co-host here, Kyle. That's
what are you talking about? You are a boss, man. You run this thing. I'm the talent. So
yeah, of course, something like that. So guys, I'm not going to go into a full update on our lottery picks. We already know Matt's recording a commercial. It looks like, Kyle, your Avs are going down and my Lightning are moving on to the semifinals or the Eastern Conference Finals. Yeah. So Matt, I hope you're typing up some of the best comments that you can make about me.
I'm going to talk about how lucky you are and that you know that you must be this shows a true testament to how big of a man of God you are, that he blessed you with that team.
That's right. There's no doubt about that. I see, guys, TJ Burns agrees with me. Exceptions can be made during the Derby. TJ, I appreciate that, man, having my back. Absolutely, without a doubt.
I disagree with you, TJ. I apologize, man.
No, TJ's right, man. It's kind of like if you ever listen to, we had Ryan Lemon on from Kentucky Sports Radio, and they have an advertisement on that show called TJ will make them pay. And Matt, you better watch out, or TJ's going to make you pay.
See, here's the thing: there's a problem here because you're the one running this thing. So what you're not showing is everybody else is coming on and agreeing with Matt and myself.
What? No, TJ just had a comment saying he did not agree.
You got one. You're not talking about the thousands of people that are agreeing with me.
Just because I can control what comments are coming up and which ones aren't, don't worry about that, Kyle.
Look, we're talking about the millions
and millions.
There it is.
That's right. All right, guys. One thing I wanted to get into to kick off the show is, I don't know if you had a chance to check this out yet, but there is a new show. If you see our background here, it's the beautiful island of Fiji. Which, if I remember correctly, back not too long ago, that's where Kyle spent his vacation. But yeah, you did. There's a new show on Amazon Prime. It's hosted by the man, Bear Grylls, and it's called The World's Toughest Race. I happened to check out the first episode last night. Guys, listen to this. 66 teams traveling over 600 kilometers. Don't even ask me to convert that into miles because I don't know, because I'm an American. 11 days. And essentially what they do is they started off in like a paddle boat going up this river. They go out into the ocean. They've got to go over, through the ocean, through jungle, through all these different things, down mountains and stuff. And they have 11 days to get from checkpoint to checkpoint to checkpoint. They can race all night. In episode 1, there's literally a couple of teams that are paddle boating, Kyle, and like pitch dark in the Pacific Ocean, diving down into the ocean to get this little medallion, which, Matt, I don't know about you, man, but paddle boating in the Pacific Ocean in the middle of the night and pitch dark, I'm not signing up for that.
I've been in the Pacific Ocean before. I chose it before I went.
I'm sure you did. Okay, so the world's toughest race. I was watching this and I was like, okay, I kind of see myself as a little bit of a race person. I like to do some endurance racing. So if I were to do this, who would I choose to be my 3 teammates? Because it's teams of 4. You get to choose your teammates. It's a race, so you're trying to win. You got to have kind of really specific people that you think you might want to team up with. So that way, you got strengths that can kind of balance you out here or there. So I thought, why not we start this show off with who would we pick as our 3 teammates to trek the world's greatest race through mountains, rivers, oceans, jungles, et cetera, et cetera. Who's going to keep us alive? Who's going to be able to navigate? Who's going to keep our motivation up? Because we know the 3 of us aren't going to be able to do all that. So Matt, I'm going to toss it to you first. Who are the 3 people you would choose to be your teammates? It can be anyone in the history of the world. Who you got? Well, Matt, you first might want to choose the unmute button.
Yep, there it is.
So Matt's going to choose unmute button as his first choice for his
Okay, so I know that this is really not good for the person that I'm wanting to select here, and he may not want to select me anymore, or he may not want to be on my team anymore if he's still alive. But have you seen the movie? It's called, or I can't remember what it's called, but the guy is the conscientious objector in the military, and he goes back and he saves all those people.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Kyle,
hold on.
Kyle, I
can't remember the guy's name, man. I couldn't find it online.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. We'll give you a few minutes to do your homework and to figure out who you're going to have. We'll go to Kyle.
Wait, I have it. I have it. You don't have to cut me off, Michael. That's not nice.
You're cutting yourself off.
Okay. His name is Desmond Doss.
Desmond Doss. Okay.
Yeah, and the movie is called Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
No, Hacksaw Ridge.
Oh, okay. Oh.
That's the name of the movie. But anyway.
Okay. Yep.
So there's this other guy that is really famous for these kind of races, and his name is Mr. Ernest Shackleton.
Ernest Shackleton, okay, nice.
And then I'm gonna need a guy on my team that is really, has some experience in the military, a guy that knows how to trek places. And what better than a governor and a Navy SEAL by the name of Jesse the Body Ventura?
Nice. Jesse the Body Ventura. I like it.
And then I'm also going to need a guy to really get me motivated because, Michael, let's be real here. When I am working out. It takes a lot to get me going, and I just want to quit halfway through. So I'm going with The Rock.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I think you've named 4 people. They're teams of 4, so you got to include yourself.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
So,
well then, I'll tell you what. Go ahead and take Mr. Shackleton off.
Okay.
I'm taking Desmond Doss and myself and Jesse Ventura and The Rock.
All right, there you go. Kyle, who's your team of 4 that you're choosing for your world's toughest race expedition?
So I need people that basically can take care of everything so I don't have to, right?
Okay, fair.
And you said, and I actually changed my answer because you said people, from history or whatever.
Yeah.
So there is one American, Native American.
Oh, I was going to say Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
No. One Native American who guided Lewis and Clark on their expedition and will guide my expedition, and that is Sacagawea.
Okay, very nice. I like it. Yeah.
So she will be our guide. And then I need somebody that is just an outdoorsman that can connect with the nature and the animals and hunt and all that. And so I need Davy Crockett.
Okay, Davy, nice.
I got a picture with him.
And then lastly, I need someone that's tough and can be a true leader. And so I'm going with Chris Kyle, the Navy SEAL.
Chris Kyle. Okay, that's a very good team there, Kyle. I think you're set up pretty well. So when I was thinking about my team, and I actually thought about this a little bit last night, I think the number one thing for me is we got to have somebody that keeps us motivated, and it's got to be positive motivation because you can't get yourself down because then you're going to get in your head. But it also has to be somebody that's gifted athletically. They've got to be able to be brute strength, have some endurance, but has to be that positive motivator. And if you think about the landscape of sports, who's somebody that is, potentially a world-class athlete that is a winner because I want to win, and who is a motivator? I mean, who's somebody that's given maybe a speech that's rallied their team to turn their season around to go on and win a championship? And I'm going.
You're going to go with daggone Tim Tebow.
I'm going with Tim Tebow because
you love Tim Tebow.
I do, man, and he's going to help us. We're all going to get up and pray the morning of, and then we're going to have a great day, and he's going to motivate us, and we're going to keep going, and it's going to be fantastic. So I got Tim Tebow as my number 1, and then Kyle, you actually mentioned my combo. I have a combo for number 3. You mentioned Sacagawea. Well, yeah, she helped guide him a little bit, but it wouldn't have happened without Meriwether Lewis and William Clark starting back in 1804. So I got Lewis and Clark and Tim Tebow as my team of 4, leading me through the great expedition race.
But you can't have 4, Michael.
That's 3.
That's 4.
Oh,
no,
that's 4.
Lewis and Clark, Tebow, and me. That's 4.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Come on now.
You got to keep up, Matt.
Yeah, come on now.
I'm sorry, I can't keep up.
You got to keep up, Matt. You got to keep up.
I'm slow.
Yeah, that's quite all right. All right, guys.
I think he's getting lost in his red and black camo that he's got on tonight.
It's not red and black, moron. It's orange, gray, and silver.
Brother, it looks red and black on my screen.
Well, then you're colorblind.
Well, that's possible.
All right, Kyle. I got to get your take on this first and foremost. Motivation, leadership, Diamond Dallas Page, DDP. Well, hey, he will give you a self high five.
That he will, which is actually perfect for COVID-19 America.
Absolutely, that's right. It absolutely is. So TJ, thanks for hitting us up with that. All right, guys, we just got a little bit over a minute left. I know we wanted to get in some college football talk, and we may have to punt that, no pun intended, to next week as we've got Jay Cash coming on after the break. But AP Top 25 came out really quickly. Kyle, who's too high? Who got snubbed? And who's just right? In your top 25, we literally have about a minute.
All right, too high. All the teams that aren't playing should be off the top 25.
Okay.
So take them off. Everyone that got snubbed, the teams that are playing that aren't ranked, that should be ranked. When you take the 25, that those off that should. Yeah. Just right. Clemson at number 1. Trevor Lawrence, that team's loaded. Clemson number 1's right where they should be. Can I go team 9 in the top 15?
Very quickly.
North Carolina.
Okay.
They beat Clemson there in the ACC they're in.
Matt, we got 30 seconds really quickly. Who you got? Who's too high? Who got snubbed? Who's just right? Who's your top 15 team that could win it?
Too high for me is going to be the Florida Gators. I don't think they have enough firepower. And then what's the next one? The one that's too low?
Too low.
Too
10
low.
seconds.
give me Auburn. I think Auburn's going to be really good this year.
All right, guys. We're going to go to a quick break. We will be back here on Dad's Watching Sports. We'll see you in just a second. The Dads of Dads Watching Sports are coming to you with a new weekly show on Wednesday nights. That's right. Check out our new half-hour show, The Dad Debate, on Wednesdays at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central on the RTF Sports Network Facebook page. And it'll be available immediately for download following our show on the Dads Watching Sports podcast feed. 3 debate topics, 2 dads, 1 winner. It's going to be you. Welcome back to Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Matt Kirk. We were just talking some college football. I'm going to give you guys my picks really quickly, and then we're going to bring on Jay. So who's too high? I've got LSU. I think they lost way too much. They also actually, as of today, Jamar Chase says I'm opting out. So I think LSU's too high. Who got snubbed, of course? Big Blue, baby. Watch out. The Cats are coming for the top 25. Who's just right? I think the entire top 5 is just right. And then a team not in the top 15 who can compete for a championship. Keep an eye on the Utah Utes if the Pac-12 ever plays. You guys may remember Jake Bentley from South Carolina transferred over there to Utah. He's going to be their starting quarterback. TJ throwing in a Texas is too high. Texas is always too high. I feel like for the past 10 years, people have been saying Texas is back.
TJ might be a little bit biased because I see that A&M logo in his picture.
Well, let's be real here. I agree with him. Horns down. I think Texas is terrible. I don't think they're ever going to be good again.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, we're going to bring on our guest here. We've got Jay Cash from Jay Cash Auctions. Jay, how are you?
Hey, I'm glad to be here. How's things sounding on my end here? Feel competent? Sound good?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, you're
that's great. Well, I'm thrilled to be on here. You know, I've known you, Michael, I think for over a year or two. We got to work together on in your day job.
That's right.
Fundraising and benefit auctions. And that's pretty much all disappeared here as far as our live events, but we're still running strong with our real estate auctions. But I'm thrilled to be on here. Hopefully we're going to be talking about Kentucky Derby and some Kentucky Derby picks, because that's all I got. I absolutely have nothing else to offer to your conversation.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Jay. Majority of the time we make up all our stuff too, so you're gonna be good. Go ahead, Matt.
I just wanted to tell you this, Jay. I had a girlfriend in high school that I met at an auction. Her dad was actually the auctioneer. He told me that seeing his daughter was forbidden.
Okay, well, that's good. Lord only knows who that was. I probably know them, but possibly dodged a bullet, or maybe not. I don't know.
That's right.
Well, Jay, I don't think it was your daughter.
No. She's 2 years and a few months. She's asleep next door. Yeah, so I barely made it to be a dad, and I really am not that good at sports, but I do know the Kentucky Derby. And, you know, it doesn't really feel like the Kentucky Derby because it's going to be here the first week of September. They delayed it, obviously hoping to have fans, and now at this point it's all for nothing because it's going to be ran without spectators. So my tickets are totally worthless, and we were planning on going. But now, thanks to the governor, and possibly for good reason, they're not going to have any spectators. But it looks like instead of 20 horses, they're just going to have 17 horses in the starting gate, which is a big deal. Typically, it's a very congested race with 20 horses. This year, at best, I think we're going to have 17. The post position is going to be drawn on Tuesday, and that's going to really help us pick and start handicapping the race a little bit more accurately. Because right now it could be anybody's game. Of course, the last several years, it's been the favorite has won. For the last many years, it's been the favorite that's won. So I don't know how much you guys follow, but I'm ready to pick the winner, and we're still a week or more out. So if you guys want to know how to construct your bets, I think I've got the perfect handicapped race here for you.
Well, yeah. Well, let's get right into it. We've got a few people live streaming with us here, and then we've always got our people that download the show. So let's talk about it. Who are some of the favorites? What are some of your suggestions?
Well, you know, whenever you go into the Kentucky Derby, the first thing that everybody has typically is, can these horses? They're only 3-year-olds. Can they handle running a mile and a quarter? And there's now that it's later in the year, there's already been a horse that proved that he can handle a mile and a quarter, and his name is Tiz the Law. He's going to come in as probably one of the all-time highest-rated Kentucky Derby favorites that we've seen in a long, long time. Tiz the Law. He's a beautiful-looking horse. He's done everything right this year, and when you're constructing your bets, however you like to bet. I actually have a great link I'll share here for anybody that wants to bet. Get on twinspires.com and you can get free money to bet, and it's totally legal, and it makes it a whole lot more fun when you watch the race on TV when you actually have some money at stake. But I'll post that here in just a minute. But 'Tis the Law. That's the horse you need to know about. He's already proved that he can run 1.25 miles, and that is usually something that everyone's worried about. Can these horses run that far? It's a huge distance for this age horse, but it's amazing how much a horse can mature from May till September. So pretty much looking at historical data to construct this race, we might as well throw it all out the window because it's going to be totally different here. But that's definitely a horse that's proved it. He already has won the Belmont, and they ran that back in June. That's the third leg of the Triple Crown typically. This year, it ran first. The second leg is going to be the Kentucky Derby, and the third leg will be the Preakness, which is being held in Baltimore. But 'Tis the Law, just remember that name. Art Collector. Art Collector is another horse that's just fantastic, and another, probably one of the favorites going into it will be Honor AP, and those are probably your top 3 choices. And there's a lot of ways you can play the race if you like to bet. I don't know if you guys bet the horses very often, but there's so many fun angles you can look at, and I just think that there's no way you want to construct your trifecta, your superfecta betting, exacta betting, however you like to bet. If you just like to pick a color and a name, that's great. But you want to have 'Tis the Law on any of your exotic bets because he's going to be a horse worth watching.
Yeah, absolutely. He's Jay Cash. We are Dad's Watching Sports, talking a little Kentucky Derby. If you're streaming the show, and we see that several of you are, shoot us your comments or questions for Jay because we're going to be talking about this for the next few minutes. Matt, I know you got a question.
So 'Tis the Law.
'Tis the Law.
So he shouldn't be getting in any trouble then if he's...
No, not at all. You want to respect law and order, I think there. Other things that you want to look forward to, like, and this is all historical. It's fun to watch. Now, if you really follow horse racing, you can have a lot of fun at this. Now, we've really been into it for about 5-6 years, me and my wife. Our first Kentucky Derby we went to, we saw American Pharoah run and win. He was the favorite, and what a race to go to. We then went to the Breeders' Cup. We watched him win. We watched him become the first Grand Slam champion, and that was exciting to see that. So we've been hooked ever since, thanks to American Pharoah, and other things you want to look forward to. I made a few notes here. So like when you're looking at past performances, you get this, it's really difficult to read this if you don't know what you're looking at, but there's always a few things you can look at when you look at a past performance. One is I like to look at who their sires are, and that's a fun thing that you can look at. If you follow racing for a few years, you saw some of these horses race years ago, and you can pick your favorite sire. So looking at it quickly, you've got a horse in here that has the same sire. That's the same dad as American Pharoah. That's Pioneer of the Nile, and that is a horse called 1,000 Words. So that's a fun angle if you just playing it that way. So American Pharoah, his dad passed away a few years ago, so there's no more Pioneer of the Nile, sons of Pioneer of the Nile. But here we got 1,000 Words that's going to be running in it. But that's fun to look at. Other angles you consider for the Derby, you want to avoid runners who didn't hit the board in their final prep race. Okay, so that means the race right before the Kentucky Derby. If you look at this, it tells you all of this on there. But if you see a horse that did not hit the board, that means they didn't finish first, second, third, or fourth. Typically, you want to shy away from them. Since 57, that was the most recent Derby winner that won the Derby that didn't finish on the board in his previous race. So if you're going to pick a winner, you want to look at somebody that has at least come in first, second, third, or fourth in their previous race. And that seems to be true. Now this year, like I said, you may throw all of that out the window. Another great angle to consider when you're just trying to pick a horse off here, any of these stallions that won a grade 1 race at 1 mile or longer. That's called a route race. But if they have a dad, let's be basic here, a dad that won a grade 1 race, that's the highest level race in North America that you can win. That's something you want to look at. 9 of the last Derby winners have had fathers that have won, that were able to win at a grade 1, 1 mile or longer. That's kind of nitpicky to look at that.
Yeah, man, but that's interesting. I would have never in a million years thought to look at lineage of, what horses' fathers have done in the past to see. I mean, that's a great bit of info for sure.
When we started watching everybody watches the Kentucky Derby. NBC does a great job making you fall in love with the horses. I'm kind of excited to stay home and watch it. I'm really sad we're not going to be there, but back years ago, I don't remember the year, but you may remember the horse called Mind That Bird.
Mm-hmm.
He came off at, I believe, 50-1 long shot. He didn't have a chance on earth winning this race. Me and my wife at that time, we were such novice bettors. We picked pink number 8 because the jockey silks were pink. Number 8 is always pink. She loves pink. We picked 8. We put $10 down, and lo and behold, we picked the Derby winner at 50-1. And that $10 bet, of course, paid rather well. So that just shows you we've evolved, and it gets to be a lot of fun if you just take the time to learn it. If sometimes, if you go to Vegas and play craps or something, you have no idea how to play craps. But once you kind of grasp a little bit of it, you can read this and really have a lot of fun. We definitely lose far more than we win. But when it comes to the Kentucky Derby, you can really put a lot of time into it, and you can win a ton of money if you construct your bets correctly, because usually the favorites are always going to be in the running, where they're going to be first, second, third. And when you're constructing your superfecta, that's the top 4. You can box those. You can bet them straight, which means you have to pick the first 4 in the correct order. If you box them, that means they come in any order in that box. It's kind of easy to win money. You can win a lot of money if you throw in a long shot, and that's one of the horses that's not expected to win. That's at higher odds. But for the last several years, looking at odds, these are some of the notes that I made for us tonight, so I want to get to them. But you can always look at the California horses. Those horses seem to do really, really well. I don't know why. You have different areas, kind of like in in college basketball. You have different conferences and things. You've got California horses. You've got New York horses that race in New York. You've got Florida bred horses that race down in Florida. And then you've got horses that are kind of stationed in Kentucky. But for some reason, the shippers from California do really, really well. The ones that have done their training at Santa Anita, they seem to do really, really well. And there's some exceptions to that. But the Derby, it's put together with points. So for people that do not really pay much attention, you can listen to this. I'm going to tell you just enough to sound like an expert at your Derby party, and then you're done. But it's basically a point system to get into the Kentucky Derby. You have to win certain races. If you win those races, you get sometimes 10, 50, sometimes you get 100 points. The more difficult the race, the more points you get. And the Florida Derby is one of those races that pays 100 points. So you win the Florida Derby, you've got a great chance of getting into you're going to get in the Kentucky Derby, no questions. But a lot of times the winner of the Florida Derby has done really, really well in the past few years.
Nice.
And don't ask me who won the Florida Derby this year, because I don't know. I didn't go that deep.
There you go. No, not at all. Man, that's some really great info. We've got about 2 minutes before we got to get to a quick break, but really quickly, any other pointers that you've got for any of our listeners? I did want to throw one comment that we had from somebody watching the stream. TJ says, "Tis the Law is my favorite for the race, but keep an eye out for Honor AP. Really like that horse." Any other comments that you've got, Jay, for the Derby?
I definitely think those are both great. It's kind of not fun because you want to pick that long shot.
Right.
And any horse can win. This is going to be the first time in some years where you haven't had 20 horses enter the field. And the most important thing is just have fun. If you haven't ever bet on the right horses, it makes it even more fun when you got a little money staked. You can bet $2 and the dynamics of horse racing change. Definitely, we love the horses first. And a lot of people may argue, is this even a good sport to be following? But it's absolutely amazing when you really enjoy it. And these are some of the best thoroughbreds in the world. There's so many different angles, but really get on twinspires.com. You can create an account. You can bet. I've got a link here that you can post if you guys want to, where you get $10 free on your first bet. There's a lot of fun things. Twin Spires has a great gimmick, or, I call it a gimmick, but basically you get, if you pick a winner, they'll give you your money back if you don't win. $50. Now he has to finish second or third. I think that's the only caveat there, but they've got tons of great little angles that you can play, and it makes the Kentucky Derby parties a whole lot more fun when you bet on the races. But yeah, certainly Honor AP is one that I would have in my supers and exactas. I tell you what, I wish I could pick outside the box and go with the long shot, but I'm going all in on Tiz the Law, and we'll see what happens on Saturday.
There we go. He's Jay Cash talking some Kentucky Derby. We've got to go to a quick break here. You see the link on the screen. We'll get that out across the podcast feed as well, what he was talking about on Twin Spires. But we'll go to a quick break, and we're going to come back, talk a little bit more about Jay's day job in the auction business, and we've got some quick hitters for you. We'll be right back on Dad's Watching Sports. Y'all stay tuned. Are you a dad? Good. Do you like to watch sports? Even better. Sounds like you need to check out our podcast, Dad's Watching Sports. Each week we talk about national sports topics. Yay, sports are back. And our lives as dads of kids 5 years and under, and the highs and lows that come with fatherhood. You can check us out on the RTF Sports Network on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And, of course, you can download the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search Dad's Watching Sports. And while you're there, share with a bro dad. That's Dad's Watching Sports. We're back here on Dad's Watching Sports. Michael Draper, Kyle Castles, Jay Cash, and Matt Kirk. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're streaming the show live on our Facebook page or the RTS Sports Network Facebook page, or if you're just checking us out, if you've downloaded the show wherever you listen to the podcast, we appreciate you doing that. And while you're downloading, give us a rate and review in Apple Podcasts. We would love for you to do that as well. So Jay, we'll get your take here in just a second, because I'm sure you've got a lot of memories to choose from. But Kyle and Matt, I want you guys have been around. You've seen some Kentucky Derbies over the years. Kyle, any particular memory or moment from the Kentucky Derby that stands out to you?
So not a memory. I guess not a memory. Like, I've seen it, but I wasn't alive for this. But just, probably the best moment at the Kentucky Derby in history, because it's the best horse to ever run, was the 73 Derby, where Secretariat, comes out of the gates and is dead last and passes every horse on his way to winning by 2.5 lengths.
Yeah.
And that kind of kicks off Secretariat, just dominating for his Triple Crown. So Secretariat.
It's hard to beat, arguably the greatest horse that ever lived. Matt, what about you?
It's got to be last year, right? Whenever the horse got disqualified.
Yeah,
that has to be the biggest Kentucky Derby moment of all time. Especially, it kind of seemed like the last year was just a lot. There were a lot of significant sports things that happened last year, and that was just happened to be one of them.
Yeah, without a doubt. That was definitely unprecedented, I think we could definitely say. Mine is actually personal. So I've been to the Derby one time, and that was in 2011. Sat in the infield. We got there early, had a great spot. It was right at the beginning of where they turned, making the last little stretch there. And Kyle, you won't be surprised, I bet on Mucho Macho Man that day, and he finished in third place. And so it was fantastic. So Mucho Macho Man came through in my one and only time to make it up to the Derby, which was great. So Jay, what about you? What are some memorable moments that stand out?
I'm going to go with my first Kentucky Derby, where we saw American Pharoah won. He ended the 37-year drought. He was finally the one that won. And you're never going to take me down. The greatest Triple Crown champion of all time is American Pharoah.
Okay.
And I'm probably a little biased on that. I think everybody has their favorite, and for Justified, that was great. We went there, and he ended up winning a Triple Crown as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was the undefeated horse that won just a few years back. And last year, I agree with you guys, man, Maximum Security was the horse. That is something that, if you haven't followed his story, later this year, you're going to see him back in the Breeders' Cup. The Breeders' Cup is basically the all-star championship of horse racing. He's going to be back. He's going to win. I don't even want to get into it here since we're talking Kentucky Derby, but his story is unbelievable of what's happened to him, what happened to his trainer, and the absolute nightmare of that poor horse's life that he can't help what's happened to him. But the owners, Gary and Mary West, they finally dropped that lawsuit where they're accepting the last year's ruling. They really didn't have a shot in the dark of getting that overturned, but I don't blame them. I'd be bitter too. I don't think they should have overturned it. I'm still upset about it. I don't want to get into it because it gets me upset.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get into something that doesn't get you upset, I'm sure, and that's the auctioneer business. Tell everybody just kind of, how did you get into it? A little bit about your business. I know it personally because I've worked with you, but our listeners, I'm sure, would love to hear about it.
Hey, I'm a second generation auctioneer. That's really all I know how to do. 4 days before I was born, I was at an auction. My mom and dad are auctioneers, and they were having a real estate auction in Southern Illinois. So when people ask me, how long have you been in the business? Literally my entire life. 4 days before I was born, we were there. But the finest assets in the world are sold at auction, from automobiles, racehorses, fine art, jewelry. Real estate is no exception. And that's primarily what we sell, real estate, estate settlements. And then, of course, Michael, you know that we have a very, very huge fundraising and benefit auction division that really exploded in the last few years, exploded and totally disappeared after March. I remember my very last fundraising event. We had about 300 people at the some museum in Union City. I forget what they call it. I forget what the name of the museum is, but man, it just seems crazy that we had a room full of 300 people. Of course, your event, my gosh, we packed 600 people in the Omni Hotel. And I know my partner Shane did your event, but man, what a first-class fundraising event. And that's really what we do. Sell assets at auction. The fundraising and benefit auction division is a little bit of a niche of what we do, but primarily we do sell estate and auctions of any kind, you name it, we sell it, but primarily real estate, estate settlements. Coming up, we've got a business, fleet liquidation. We're selling an entire it's about 25 pontoons, tritoons, boats out of Cadiz, Kentucky, Prizer Point Marina. They're reducing they're turning over their fleet. They're getting all new pontoons. They do a big rental program. So we're selling that, wakeboards. I mean, you name it. If it's at a marina, they're selling all their inventory. So sometimes we sell unique assets. We've sold golf courses, gas stations, you name it. But that's what we do. We're auctioneers, we're real estate brokers. We're licensed in 14 states. And it's the only thing I know how to do.
There you go. Well, this is some divine intervention, Jay, because my family and I just bought a lake house in Cadiz, Kentucky, and we were looking for a boat. So I'm going to reach out to you about
you better be there.
That auction. Absolutely. Because we literally bought a house up there last week. So, well, what's maybe one of the coolest or just most unique things that you've had an opportunity to sell or auction off?
You know, I wish I had something really cool, but truly the fact when people allow us to sell their most valuable asset, usually that's a piece of real estate, whether they inherited it, their grandmother's house or not, you know, each and every auction we have, we try to, that really is, I don't take anything for granted. It's an honor and a privilege to work for people. And, you know, we believe people deserve to have absolute certainty when it comes time to selling their most valuable assets, which is usually their real estate. I always say owning real estate's the American dream. Selling it shouldn't be a nightmare. I really try to make the selling process simple when it comes to having an auction. We try to guarantee you when it's properly advertised and conducted that you're going to get the most money for your property at an auction. Just today, we had a sale here in Murfreesboro, and it by and far exceeded sellers' expectations. And that's pretty indicative of everything in Middle Tennessee right now. It's just a very strong market as far as your real estate. Real estate goes anywhere.
Well, that's absolutely the truth. I know a lot of us have been in that market, and some more recent than others, and it's without a doubt the truth. And I, again, as somebody who's worked with you guys, y'all first class in every sense of the word. And I know just what I can speak for my organization, we went from, you know, making a very little amount in an auction to blowing it out of the water, what is now 2 years in a row, thanks to you and Shane. So thanks y'all. And I would definitely highly recommend your services because y'all are
and I absolutely love the fundraising and benefit auction, being able to make an impact and help people. It's an honor to invite people to our organization, to any of the groups that we work for, and to allow them to donate at any level that's meaningful to them. I absolutely love it. It's just a shame that it's absolutely disappeared. A lot of it's kind of gone virtual, which we had a great virtual event. It's kind of how this was born a little bit, this podcast, you know, you guys did that starting it out, but no, absolutely. And it's been a treat to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we're going to shift gears here. And one thing, you know, I was talking about this, I believe, with my wife the other day, and it was I'd seen a video of like a parent dropping off their kid at school, at college, and you know, we're all dads here. We've all are going to have these monumental moments in our life that are going to be heartbreaking for one way or the other. And so it led me to think of a good topic we could talk about here on the show of what is kind of the day or the event that we're looking forward to the least. And I came up with a list. And if you have something else that you want to throw in, please feel free to do so, guys. But I thought of, okay, first day of kindergarten or elementary school, because that's such a big deal. And nowadays you don't even get to walk your child to the classroom with COVID. The introduction to the first boyfriend or girlfriend could be a huge one. The first breakup with that boyfriend or girlfriend could be a tough one. A senior trip for obvious reasons. If a senior in high school is taking a trip out to God knows where, that could, for obvious reasons, be a day you're not looking forward to. Dropping off at college or the wedding day. So, Matt, I'm going to toss it to you first, man. Of all those lists, you think of your little girl there, Campbell. What's one of those that you are just not looking forward to in the least?
Well, so I came up with some of my own here. I'm saying the first time that she drives, that's pretty scary. And the day that she comes home and says she's got a bun in the oven, and I'm gonna say there ain't nothing in our stove. Or the night she decides to stay at a friend's house, that's going to be kind of nerve-wracking for me, just because with this time of day, you just don't know what that's going to be like. And
yeah.
Jay,
what about yourself? Any of those days that you're just not looking forward to at all?
Yeah, we haven't considered any of that. None of that has been a consideration of mine. I will be so sad when some boy breaks up with her. That'll be a sad, sad day. But we're going to have her prepared to know that boys really do suck. They're just the worst. But, it's all right. Some of them may be good, but that's going to be a sad day for me, I'm sure.
Yep. Kyle, what about yourself?
So it's funny you said that, Jay. I have a joke. I'm a high school teacher, and every so often I end up with some girl crying in my class, and I have to find some way. I actually had one last year. Hopefully she's not listening to this podcast and she doesn't know I'm talking about her, but I had one last year where I didn't even realize that that her and the guy had broken up, and I mentioned him in class, and she started crying. And so what I've done is I've got a joke now, and my joke is, guys suck. There's a reason God looked down after making a man and going like, yeah, you know what? I screwed this one up. I got to try again. But so I've already done the first day of kindergarten, and that was tough. I actually called my mom and got a little choked up when I left because my wife was at work. So that I've done that. But for me, the day I'm not looking forward to is that first breakup. I have my two boys. I mean, they're boys. They'll figure it out. But my youngest kid, my youngest kid is a girl, and it's going to be a bad day for some boy when my baby girl gets her heart broke for the first time.
Yeah, I think we can all put ourselves on that list without a doubt. Our buddy TJ, who's checking us out in live stream, says seeing one of my kids driving off in their car by themselves for the first time. Yeah. I can only imagine what that's going to look like. And for me, I think it's kind of a combination of a lot of this. I think, we do our best as dads and as parents and to try to instill, really anything and everything in our kids, decision-making, manners, whatever. But it's when we send them off to be with other individuals that we may know, but do we really know? And we don't, you just don't have the same influence on those individuals. And so I think of going to college or even having a boyfriend or whatever have you, if it's our daughters or what, but anytime you're releasing your child to go and congregate with other people that you just don't know. I think that's the toughest one for me. And that will continue to be one of the tough ones out there. All right, guys, we're going to shift it to some of our quick hitters that we like to finish the show with. We still got quite a bit of time here, so we can spend some good amount of time in these topics. One thing I thought we had to definitely talk about this week was what we've seen across the landscape of really not only professional sports, but amateur sports as well, with a lot of the different teams and leagues protesting by either sitting out practices, boycotting games, whatever have you, that is really going on this week. It was part of our dad debate topics this past week on the Wednesday show that Jamichael and I discussed. And for me, one of the biggest moments of the week, and we don't use this platform to really get political, and we're not going to do that here. But one of the biggest moments for me this week was, if you happen to check out the comments that Doc Rivers made, really kind of following the game that the Clippers had, where he basically just said, "Hey, look, my dad is a cop, and I am in a biracial relationship," and he just kind of poured it all out there and said, it's been really tough to have situations where I feel like I've got a country that I love, but it doesn't love me back, and you can just kind of see Doc just being raw, and he was emotional. And whether you agree or don't agree, I think you have to respect the fact that he stood up for kind of what he believed in. And he said, you know what, the heck with if I'm going to get fined for this or whatever have you. And so that was a huge moment for me. Matt, what about yourself? What have been some moments or a moment that maybe you've kind of hit on this past week?
It's not, well, I guess for me in the past week, it's just like, these players, they're just, they want to make a change, and they're willing to, put themselves out there and to protest, which is huge huge deal. And it's never really been done before, at least that I've been aware of, that I've really paid attention to. And it's just that how, to me, it's how broken that they feel. And I hate that, that America is just so judgmental and that people are losing their lives, because of all this, and people are treated unfairly. And you can just really see how hurt that is. And I'm not an African American male, and I won't ever be. So I don't know how that feels, but I couldn't imagine, man. And I think hearing everybody talk and hearing all the different things that people have said and how it makes them truly feel inside is really eye-opening. And I just hate that they have to feel that way. I wish I could just take it all away for them.
Sure, absolutely. Jay, any thoughts about this past week?
Hey, I thought it was pretty shocking when they said the NBA, that only about 20% of the players are even registered to vote, and they want to complain and make their opinion so well known. I feel like, they need to get that up to about 80-85% before they express their opinion so much. Because if you're not even registered to vote, I don't know what we're all, you can make a change if you get out and vote rather than telling everyone to vote. They got a lot of influence on people. But, man, if that number's true, I don't know how they came up with it, but it's everywhere. It's on SI.com, everywhere, reporting that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a, walk the walk and talk the talk and walk the walk kind of thing. So, Kyle, what about yourself?
So, I think the big thing is obvious. It's the NBA players boycotting the games, and I'm a economics teacher. I like economics, and most of it's because economics it's real. There's no emotion to it. I mean, the number is the number. Whatever the number is what it is. And so, to me, what interests me through all of this is, what is this going to do to the bottom line?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because these owners can stand up there and they can talk all about how they're in it with the players, and they feel for the players, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure but what happens when that bottom line gets hit and they're not making as much money? Because what happens when the majority of America decides, you know what, I don't want to watch this anymore? And you can sit here and you can tell me that the majority of America doesn't feel that way, but the majority of America is white. And I'm just going to be really honest here. And if you listen to African Americans, white people don't understand racism. And so what happens when white people go, you know what, I'm not tuned in to hear LeBron James or anybody else, their political stance. I want to watch them play basketball. And if they're not going to play basketball, then why watch? So what happens when and if, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if it happens, what happens when that bottom line gets hurt? Do the owners start to say, hey, look, you can boycott all you want, but that means you're not playing for me? And does that shut them up? I think that's a possibility. Yeah. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but when you start taking money out of people's pockets, even the very richest people we know, they still want their money. You start taking money out of their pockets, things change in a hurry.
Yeah, that's a great point. That is a great point. And again, not saying that that's right, because my personal opinion is I don't feel like that is, but that's money speaks, and that's what makes a lot of decisions. And so, and that's one thing specifically with the NBA is they said, hey, not only are we going to boycott these games, but we want to have conversations with the owners that there's got to be some change here, and the owners have to put forth a little effort, and we'll see if that happens. Whether that happens or not. Yeah, Matt. One last word.
I also just hope that the players, that they're protesting, but they need to go a step further than that, and they need to do something in the community to influence change.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think you're absolutely right. And there's been a few people like George Hill for the Milwaukee Bucks has said that exact message. Kyrie Irving didn't even go to the bubble because he felt like, there was no point in doing that and needing to be outside. And so I think that's absolutely right. Guys, we're going to skip over the Mets GM. If you didn't catch those comments that he made, just for the time's sake, we're going to skip over that, but it was pretty outrageous. But let's get to a couple of people that we unfortunately lost over the past week. So Lute Olsen was the coach at Iowa and Arizona. 23 consecutive NCAA tournament appearances, 4 Final Fours, a national championship, beating Kentucky in 1997. As the school's all-time winningest coach at 589 wins, 14th on the all-time Division I men's basketball career list at 781. So, Kyle, if you're looking at coaches 1990 to present, where does Lute Olsen kind of fall in that list for you?
I made it quickly off the top of my head, and I feel like he's probably between like 5 and 7, 5 and 8, somewhere in there. So like Tom Izzo, I think, was a better coach through the 90s. Roy Williams, your boy Rick Pitino, Bobby Knight, even Jim Boeheim. Like those were 5 names I came up real quick. I almost threw Tubby in there in the 90s, so I didn't. But you're talking about, so Lute's probably there like 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there, depending on, if you agree with my 5 that I threw out.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking at just the 90s, I think he's definitely there. I think if you're looking from basically 1990 to now, I don't know that I'd put him in company with Coach K or Roy Williams or people that have won multiple championships, Jay Wright, Billy Donovan, Rick Pitino. He's probably in that group with like a Jim Boeheim, Jim Calhoun, Izzo, Gary Williams, Tubby Smith that you mentioned, Bill Self. But I mean, a heck of a coach without a doubt. Matt, another unfortunate loss that we had was Chadwick Boseman, the actor who played such a great role as Jackie Robinson in 42, which was our vote as the best sports movie of all time. Also played in Black Panther and a few other movies. Just a tremendous loss for the really the whole world with this phenomenal actor. Turned out he had colon cancer. Matt, I believe you're on mute there, buddy.
How can you put me on mute, Michael?
Well, you have your comments, so we have to mute you for every once in a while.
That's true. Yeah, you probably should have muted me on the jokes I was telling earlier,
That's
like
right.
auctioneer jokes. Yeah, that was pretty rough. But anyway, the Chadwick gentleman, man, that's really sad. He played great in 42. I mean, that movie was fantastic, one of the best sports movies. And you just hate to hear it, man.
Yeah, you do. Well, guys, we've only got just a few more minutes here to wrap up. Jay, before we get too close on time, wanted to thank you for coming on with us. And again, James R. Auctions is where you can find Jay. They do a tremendous job. And thanks for all the Derby talk. We really appreciate that. Guys, really quickly, and we'll get everybody in here. Jay, I know you're not a big sports guy, but fantasy football, you have any thoughts on who you'd pick number 1?
I text my the best man for my wedding. I said, "What do I answer?" And he said, "I knew the first one was off questions, but I said, hey, with the number 1 pick in fantasy football draft, who do you select?" He says, "I bet you're doing a fantasy draft this year, and you have no idea what to do." And that's the case. I've never done it in my life. I'm good for the next question, though. I'm going to hit pass.
There you go, Kyle. Very quickly, number 1 pick.
It depends on the type of league, depends on the scoring. So it's either Lamar Jackson or Patty Mahomes.
Like Matt?
Yep, that's what I was going to say.
Who you got, Matt?
And he's muted again.
And Matt's muted again. All right. So
Michael, quit hitting the button on me, man. Gosh.
Come on. We got 45 seconds. Who'd you say?
I'm going Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry.
All right. I'm going Kyler Murray. I think with Kingsbury there as the coach, I'm going him. All right. We've got 30 seconds really quickly. Jay, I know you wanted to jump in really quickly. If you had to schedule one speaker from either the DNC or the RNC to speak to a team before a big game, who you got?
Oh, Herschel Walker. Oh, my God. You see him at the RNC. Absolutely thrilling to watch him speak. I met him, and we had actually a fundraiser with him down in Atlanta. The guy's first class. I'm booking Herschel Walker to speak to pump up my team.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we have got to get out of here. It's been fun on Dad's Watching Sports. Thank you, Jay, so much for joining us. We will be back next week with all new episodes. Y'all take care.